Alrighty. Let's get the recording on. Check, check, check. We got the live. Let's let the Discord know we're here. Alright, let's get started right away. Alright. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Bit of a late stream today. Started about 40 minutes late, but it's okay. Alright, everybody. Let's get started. Let's get started. So, before we start the main topic of the stream, let's just kind of break down what we saw this week, what we saw today, right? Usually on Fridays, if you guys haven't been here for the last few Fridays, I'll kind of go over the market first, the whole week as kind of a whole, right? And then things that I might be interested in next week. And then we'll kind of get into the main topic of the stream, which is going to be overconfidence, right? Someone suggested this last stream, so it's exactly what we're going to be doing. So this week, going into the week from last Friday, right? So the same, right? We did the same thing. We kind of looked at it, and I said that I wanted to see lower prices until we tapped into this weekly gap right here, right? This one right here. If I could mark it out, which we did. Perfect. After we tapped into that gap, we moved higher, right? I originally was thinking Tuesday will already be moving higher. Obviously, I wasn't right. It was Wednesday that we kind of started to move up. I mean, Thursday, sorry. So mostly Thursday was the bullish day. So overall, very, very boring week, right? It was a pretty obvious setup. We had the consolidation of the, oops, that is not the right thing that I try to do. We had the consolidation from the first part of the week, right? Monday, Tuesday. Right. AMD setup, if you guys know, you know. Then Wednesday afternoon, just completely took everything out, all the lows, tapped into the gap. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then finally, Thursday, Friday, well, mostly just Thursday, we had that crazy, crazy move up. Right. So a pretty chill week. Nothing, I don't want to say nothing boring, but everything was pretty standard, right? I didn't trade the first. I actually didn't trade all the way till Thursday, was it? Yeah, Thursday or Wednesday. Um, and I only took one trade this week, I'm pretty sure, which was a long, right? Obviously, worked out in the end, long bias. So that was pretty much it for the week. Not a very entertaining week. Not a lot of entries for me, but we had a lot of good topics. We had a lot of good streams this week. So let's get started with the last stream before I leave on a little weekend trip. I'll be gone Saturday, Sunday. I think even Monday I'll be gone too. So let's kind of get the stream going, answer your guys' questions, talk about what we're going to talk about, and then we'll I'll be back, you know, on Tuesday, I believe. What's my opinion on high RR strategies? They're not bad, right? Like lower win rate, higher risk to reward is not a bad idea. I just think that for a lot of people it's not sustainable because they can't sit through the losses, right? If you have a very low win rate, you're going to be in a lot higher losing streaks, right? Your losing streaks are going to be longer, more often. And that's not a bad thing, again, necessarily. It's just that if you can't sit through that, I don't recommend them. But if you're used to it, right? If you guys can kind of handle that, um, I don't want to say pressure, but like you know what I mean, that type of environment, then yeah, it's not a problem at all. I don't mind them at all. Alrighty, so today's stream was suggested yesterday, which was why you're overconfident, right? So why is it that when you guys are trading, you basically see that you're only ever going to be right, right? So you're taking a long and it starts showing that maybe it's not going to continue higher, right? Maybe it kind of goes against your bias, right? Maybe you're like, if we have to hold this level and it breaks that level, right? Or whatever it might be, right? And you're holding on to this trade and you're kind of thinking, I don't know, it doesn't look so wrong, right? You're kind of in denial almost. You're like, nah, it's gonna bounce up. Yeah, I might have been wrong about this part, but it'll totally bounce up from here, right? It'll totally go lower here or whatever it is, right? So a lot of the times you guys will hold a trade and you kind of know subconsciously that it's not really gonna work out, right? So you're kind of like, I can already see. It doesn't really look good, to be honest. Like I kind of entered on a bad setup. It's kind of not respecting anything that I wanted to respect. It's kind of just, going against me. But instead of recognizing that and either avoiding the trade or closing the trade early or whatever it is you need to do, you guys kind of sit there and you say, nah, like, I'm going to be right though. Like, I think it's going to work out in my favor, even though it's proving that it's not. And even though realistically it probably won't, right? Maybe you're trying to take a long after we already moved up so much, right? Maybe you're trying to do something that's counter trend, right? Maybe we're bearish, but you're trying to go long, right? Maybe we're already moving lower, but you're trying to go higher prices, right? And so when we're in that like state, when we're thinking about, right, our trades and when we're kind of moving in this direction, one thing that is a lot of questions you guys ask is why is that happening, right? You kind of know it's happening, but why is it happening? How do we actually stop that and actually be willing to be wrong, right? A lot of times we're not willing to actually be in the wrong, right? We were like, no, if I have to be right, you know? So what is it? Why is it? Is it overconfidence? Is it delusion, right? Is it just undisciplined? Is it lack of patience, right? So we're going to kind of talk about that today. So when it comes to this like overconfidence, the number one thing that I notice, right? The number one thing that I see a lot of across a lot of people is that you're overconfident for a long time and you don't notice it until you start losing. So what does that mean? You'll probably take a couple trades and you're like, yeah, it doesn't look great, but I think it's still gonna hit, right? So it's kind of again playing against you, but or you're going counter trend, right? You're going against the trend or you're going against something, right? And you win. I notice a lot of times you guys will stay like that, but you'll actually win for the first part. You'll get a few, you'll break your rules, right? Or you'll do something that you shouldn't be doing, right? Taking too much leverage, right? Taking entries that are too early or too late, but you'll actually win that trade. It'll hit TP. And so what that does is in your mind it starts reinforcing these behaviors, right? It's like a dog, right? Like if you train a dog to do something and you give it a treat, it's going to start associating that action with the treat, right? With the pleasure. If you teach it to roll over and you give it a treat every time it rolls over, it's going to be like, "Oh hell yeah, like every time I roll over I get a treat." Right? So even when you stop giving it treats, it still does that same action, right? It still rolls over because it remembers that you used to give it treats, even if you haven't done it for, ages. And we are the same way, right? Humans are the same way. If you do a certain action and you repeat it over and over and over again, reinforcing that behavior, and it keeps rewarding you, right? If you keep breaking your rules, right, which you know you shouldn't be doing, but you're reinforcing that behavior with wins, right? You're breaking your rules, but your trade hit though, right? It hit TP. So what's the matter, right? We start thinking, oh, it's not a problem then, right? And it continues on that way. You keep winning trades by breaking your rules or by being overconfident, right? With like today's topic, right? You're overconfident because yes, you're breaking your rules, but you're winning. You guys understand? But the trades are hitting though. Like you just got a payout, but you just passed your account. So then we start kind of thinking, well, this maybe it's not really a problem then, right? Or you even start thinking there's no problem. You don't even notice that you're actually growing in overconfidence, right? And like the dog, right? Like the training, we keep doing that same action even once it stops rewarding us, right? So we keep breaking our rules because we thought like, yeah, breaking my rules before rewarded me with winning trades. But now that the winning trades are not there, we still keep doing it in the hopes that it'll come back, right? Because that's what you guys have reinforced in your brain, right? If you do an action every single day and it's rewarded almost every single day, right? Then you kind of, that's your habit, right? That's how you form habits in the first place, right? And so naturally, that's why you guys will come into the market and you'll like break your rules or you'll take a bad trade, to be honest, and you're kind of like, nah, it's gonna hit though. Like I'm overconfident, right? But it's not just that you think that you're the greatest trader ever. Obviously, we're not like egotistical or anything or narcissistic. But what it is you reinforced that behavior and that action and that mindset because you kept doing it, but it kept winning, right? You only looked at whether what you were doing was going to result in a win or a loss, right? So what you were doing is you had your plan, right? You're taking your trades, you're kind of, right, going into the market, and then you break your rules, right? Let's say you're only supposed to take one trade a day, right? Let's say you're supposed to only take one trade a day. But then you take two trades or three trades. But the second and the third trade, even though you shouldn't have taken them, ended up winning and hitting full TP or extra money, right? Green, 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 right? So in your mind, do you guys think that you're gonna consider breaking your rules a problem that day? Do you guys think you're gonna be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I'm dumb. Like I should have followed my rules. You're gonna be like, hell no, look at me go, bro. I just hit two trades back to back. Right? I made up for the loss that I took earlier, right? Now I'm winning today. Now I'm closer to my payout. Now I'm closer to my eval, right? Now I'm closer to whatever it is that you want to see, right? So then you have this problem where you're constantly breaking your rules or you're constantly kind of going against your plan, but it's rewarding you in that way No wonder you guys have that issue where you can't admit that you're wrong, right? No wonder that when you guys actually end up taking a bad trade and it ends up losing, you guys struggle with accepting that, right? Because you'll look back and you'll say, yeah, but every time I did that before, it resulted in a win. Not recognizing that the win is just an outcome, right? The win is just one aspect of trading, right? You never considered what you were putting into the market. You were only looking at what you were getting out of it, right? You're only looking at, okay, is this trade green or is this trade red? All right, well, it's green, so that means what I'm doing must be right. Even though, yeah, I know deep down that this is not a long term sustainable thing, but I'm going to still do it and I'm going to keep doing it because I believe that my wins are more important than what I put into the market, right? So then you come into the market and then you guys take that first loss. Be honest, right? You'll have that winning streak. You'll get that payout. You'll pass that account and you'll be like, oh, yeah, bro, this is it. I'm so close. You start looking at cars that you want to buy. You go on Zillow or you start looking at houses that you want to, right? You look houses you want to live in, vacations you want to take, hotels you want to go to, right? You guys understand? And so you're coming into the market with all of that momentum. You're like, all right, bro, we just got that payout. We just passed that eval. Let's just keep doing what we're doing, right? But because you only looked at the results, right? Because you were only building off of wins, when the losses start rolling in, right? You hit that losing streak or you hit that, you know what I'm saying, big losing day or small losing day. It doesn't even have to be a big losing day. It could be a small day. I've seen it often. Most often, actually, it's a small day. I notice you guys struggle, right? So you guys will be win, 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 small loss, right? Small loss. Not even a big, not even like you blew your account, just like a small red day. But because of the way that you were moving during the winning streak, now that the winning streak is coming to an end, now that you're kind of resetting back to normal, what happens then, right? What happens to you guys when you're on a winning streak and then you start losing? Even a small loss. Do most of you guys kind of just sit there and accept that? No. Most of the time, we start thinking, man, I can't believe that. It came to an end. Like, now I'm a further day away. Like, oh, if I had just had one more winning day, I could have had X, Y, and Z. So then what do? Right? You start thinking, all right, well, I only lost a little bit of money today. Maybe I could just make it back real quick. All right? Or maybe I could trade the next session and make it back real quick. You guys understand? Or it goes the other way, right? Overconfidence. Or it goes the other way. You're in a normal trade and you're like, oh, I don't like the way it's looking. Like, honestly, I'm kind of breaking my rules by even taking this setup. But if it ends up working out, then I'll be happy, right? If it works out, I'm happy. If it doesn't work out, I'm sad, right? Green trade, I'm happy. Red trade, I'm sad. You guys live very like one dimensional, right? Two dimensional. Where you're only ever happy or sad depending on whether the trade was good or bad that day. You don't look at the week. You don't look at the inputs. You don't look at the context that goes into that trade, right? You guys see a green trade and immediately you start thinking, all right, I did everything right. That was awesome, right? Be honest, guys. When you win a trade, be honest. When you hit a winning trade, when you get that fat TP, right? Straight to profit, do you guys ever actually reflect on that trade, or do you guys ever actually like journal that trade besides putting like W, or besides putting down like winning day? Be honest. I don't think so, right? I don't. When I win, I start to ignore it, right? I start to ignore my reviews, my analysis, right? Be honest. Most of us don't. Why? Because that's what we're leaning on, right? If you're sitting on a chair, right, and someone pulls that chair out under you, you hit the floor, right? And it hurts. It's the same way with trading, right? So when you're winning, you're sitting on the chair's nice and comfy. You're like, all right, well, look, I just won last week, this week, the last three trades. I'm chilling. I don't even have to think about it. I'm sitting down firmly, right? But you don't recognize that the instant the wins don't come around anymore, right? Maybe there's a hard week. Maybe there's a hard month, right? Maybe there's a something unfair, right? It doesn't even have to be like you messed up. It could be something that was unfair to you, right? Maybe Trump tweeted, right? Maybe some sort of news came out or some sort of company or some sort of AI or who knows, right? And all of a sudden, the wins don't come around, right? And so not only are the wins not coming around, the chair that you were leaning on, right? The dependency that you were relying on, which was the wins, they're not there anymore. So when you're sitting on that chair and they pull it out under you, you get hurt. You're like, ow, like what the heck? It feels painful, right? Am I the only one that loses? It actually kind of hurts, right? Not physically, but like emotionally. You guys understand? And then you guys wonder, you know, I'm kind of like upset right now and I'm kind of like tripping out, but I don't want to feel this way. Like most of us, we don't, no one likes discomfort, right? No one actually likes feeling this way, right? And so what do humans do? What are we as people naturally going to do when we're hurt, right? When you guys get hurt, when you guys get a cut or when you guys get you know, scraped or you guys get, right, burned, you guys just leave it alone and you're like, all right, well, that kind of hurts, but it'll heal. right? Or do you guys go put a band-aid on, you put that burn on, you put that bandage, right? You try to heal it. You don't want it to stay there forever. It's the same thing with the mind, guys. Same thing, right? When you make a mistake and you're hurt, right? You feel dumb, you feel, anxious, you feel, frustrated. Our first reaction is never going to be like, all right, let's process this. Let's actually kind of reflect on this, right? What could we improve on from this opportunity, right? Situation. We start thinking, all right, I'm hurt and I want to fix it. All right, I'm hurt and I'm not liking the way that I'm feeling. This is a pain. This is pain that I don't want to deal with. So instead of processing it and actually moving forward and utilizing this as an opportunity to learn, I'm going to just try to fix it. I'm going to try to remove this emotion from me. That's why you take the second trade or the third trade or the fourth trade or buy the next account or the next account or the next account, because you're sitting there in pain because you're frustrated and you're upset and you're mad at the loss. And instead of processing it, we immediately go to, how do I fix it, right? The number one question I get asked, guys, is how do I fix myself? Like, how do I fix X, Y, and Z? How do I fix patience? How do I be more patient? How do I just be more disciplined? But the real heart behind that question, the real intention behind why you guys ask this, is not that you really care necessarily about being disciplined. Well, obviously you do, but more than the discipline or the patience that you're asking for, you're actually asking, how do I remove this pain from myself? How do I remove this feeling of feeling like I'm dumb? Or how do I remove this anxiety or this frustration or this anger or this greed? Like, that's what we're all actually trying to figure out. We're not actually trying about being guys, I've seen plenty of people that have every opportunity to be disciplined. They don't care about discipline, right? When you guys are winning and you're hitting that winning streak, right? You pass that account, you get that payout. You're not really caring about the discipline as much, right? You're basically saying, I want to seek only comfort. I don't really want to feel these emotions. I don't want to deal with these things, right? Because that's hard on me. And so I want to just focus on the results, something that's easy to look at, right? I only want to focus on whether this trade is a win or a loss. And if it's a loss, I got to fix it. If it's a win, then okay, good. I don't care about it, right? That's how it all is, guys. That's why a lot of you guys, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. None of you guys go through this, or is it just me, right? They'll just say, you guys will go into the market and you'll take a losing trade. You're frustrated. You're sitting in your chair. You're kind of like, kind of mad right now. Like, I'm a little frustrated, right? What do people teach you guys? Oh, just don't feel it, bro. Be emotionless. Be a robot, right? Don't feel anything. But guys, you really think that that's possible long term, right? Maybe for a week, guys. You could do it for a week, right? You've tried it. You've tried to be emotionless for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, even, right? Couple months. You've done it. You've tried it. How does that usually end, right? When you guys are super locked in, emotionless, you try to, blow away the losses. You're like, no loss, don't worry, rolls off of your shoulder, right? How long do you guys usually stay in that state before you crash out, right? Not very long. And then when you crash out, isn't it a worse crash out than just before? Now it's not just a losing day. You actually blow an account, multiple accounts, or you actually do, not just one or two bad trades. Now you're taking 100 trades, and you kind of snap back to reality, right? You're off autopilot, and you're kind of like, oh man, like, dang, like, what did I just do? Like, I just woke up basically. It's almost like you were sleeping, right? That's what most people teach, is they just say, well, just don't be emotional, right? But again, unless you guys are made up of ones and zeros and ones, I don't think it's very sustainable. Of course, for a time, maybe. But if you can ask any therapist, ask any psychologist, ask anybody that ever actually studied human nature, and you ask them, can I just shove away my emotions? Can I just push away my emotions? They're going to look at you and be like, bro, that might be like the dumbest idea I've ever heard. They're going to come to you and be like, bro, like, that's genuinely like probably the worst thing you could do right now, right? So why is it that when we come to the market, we think that it's going to magically work, right? Because people teach us that, right? People say, well, you shouldn't have emotions affecting your trade. But it's not that you shouldn't ever have emotions. It's that your emotions shouldn't affect your actions, right? That's the key difference. But a lot of you guys are saying no emotions. Okay, no emotions. Gotcha. All right, I'll never feel happy, but I'll never feel sad. And even though when I take a trade and it hits, I'm obviously happy and I start planning out my future, but I got to pretend that I'm not happy at all, right? I got to like kind of put on a mask and be like, no, I'm not happy at all, bro. It's just a trade. Or when you're losing, I have to pretend that I'm not mad too, right? But the issue was never don't have emotions. It was, how do you process your emotions? How do you actually move forward so that they don't actually affect your actions, right? Because you're gonna get upset. You're gonna feel happy. You're gonna feel upset. You're gonna feel, everything in between, right? Anxious, you're going to feel confident, you're going to feel unconfident, right? So instead of trying to pretend that those things aren't there, instead of trying to be like, all right, well, I just don't feel anything. Like, I'm cool, bro. I can do it. And you put on that mask and you try to be like, all right, today I'm going to try my best not to be upset. Today I'm going to try my best not to be happy. Today I'm going to try my best not to be anxious, right? You guys do that all the time, right? Or you guys show up asking to be anxious. No, we all show up and we all say the same thing. Today I don't want to be anxious. Today I don't want to force my setups. Today I don't want to do these things, right? And then we still continuously do them month after month, year after year, week after week. Why? Because you are already asking the wrong questions. You're starting off on the wrong foot. You're trying to say, I don't want to feel anything, instead of saying, how do I actually process these feelings and these actions and break down my issues so that next time that they arise, next time you get that thought or that feeling that you need to re-enter or that you need to raise your leverage or do something crazy, right? That it doesn't actually manifest in that way. It's just a thought, and it kind of goes away. You guys understand? That is an infinitely better, smarter, and more sustainable strategy than trying to say, nah, I feel nothing, bro. Like, I'm completely emotionless. Like, nah, bro. You just got to be a robot, bro. You just got to be mechanical, bro. You just got to be, something that you're not, right? If you guys wake up, you guys think that you wake up as a robot or as a human, right? We wake up as humans. Like, why are we trying to, there's a disconnect here between what you are and what you want to be, right? You're trying to say like, oh, I want to be emotionless, right? But it's like waking up and saying, oh, today I want to be a robot. Like, I want to wake up with titanium skin, and I want to wake up with wires instead of veins, and I want to wake up with ChatGPT 5.0 instead of a brain. It's like, bro, what? It's just like, bro, what are you talking about right now? But you guys say the same thing basically. You wake up and you say, nah, today I'm gonna be emotionless, bro. Today I'm gonna be super locked in, super dialed in. I'm never gonna feel any pain again, right? That's what I'm hearing. Is like basically I'm trying to do something that's impossible, right? Guys, smarter people than us have tried. You guys think that, all those philosophers, all those CEOs, all those athletes, right? Ask anything. Ask any athlete that pushes their emotions away. They're crying when they win the championship, or do you guys think that they're like, nah, bro, I don't feel anything. It's just part of the process. No. Ask anybody that was ever successful in anything, right? Emotions are part of the journey. That's what you guys need to realize, is that there's something that we need to process, something that we need to work on, something that is powerful, right? That's what actually drives us. You guys show up to the market. Guys, if you didn't care about trading, do you honestly think that you would put in all this time and effort to study, right? Or you guys watching those YouTube videos, you're writing in your journal, you're showing up day after day, morning after morning, night after night, showing up to the charts, 1, 2, 3, 4 hours a day, sitting there because you don't care. And you don't care about it. You don't have no emotions, right? That's why you're showing up, is because you don't care. You're like, yeah, whatever. It's just something I do, I guess, right? You don't ever think about it. You're like, oh, no, it's cool. I just show up and I hop off. I never think about it outside of my computer. I never think about trading, no. Right? Is that you? Be honest. Is that any of you guys? No. You show up because you're thinking, all right, this is what's going to be my future. This is something I'm building towards. This is a passion, right? We have passion about this journey. So why not utilize that passion, right? Why not process that passion in a way that actually keeps you sustained, right? That actually motivates you to show up every day instead of ruins you and you pretend that it's not there. Nah, I'm not upset, bro. I'm not mad. I'm fine, bro. I'm emotionless. And deep down, you're like crying, right? You're upset. You're frustrated. You want to throw everything away. You want to say, I'm never going to trade again, right? This is stupid because you don't care. No, because you care a lot. Because you have the most care about this. Some of you guys, this is your biggest passion, right? Is making this work, is succeeding in the market, right? But why then do you have all this passion? Do you have all this energy? Do you have all this emotion? And you're trying to pretend that it's not there. And then when it pops up, you wonder why you crash out, right? You wonder why you have bad days. You wonder why you blow your account all in one sitting. Because you have this enormous abundance of passion and energy and care. And you're trying to say, nah, that's not there, bro. I'm chilling. I'm emotionless. I'm a robot. I'm locked in. Yeah, you're locked in. No, you're locking your emotions out, bro. You're trying to lock them out, and then when they come back in and break down the door, there goes your account. There goes your payout. There goes the last 3 months of progress, right? Maybe you took a 10K payout. Boom. You wiped it all out in a week, right? I've seen it happen, guys, time and time again. I've had people in the chat, people in the Discord, people on TikTok just DMing me. Bro, I blew a 10K payout. I blew 15K. I'm break even. I haven't made any money. Yeah, I made 20K in a month, but then the next week I blew it all. Why? Because they'll stuff it down for a time. You'll stuff away your emotions for a time, right? For a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, right? Enough to see results. And then they surface again, right? How many times has that happened to you guys already? Where you push away the emotions, you finally lock in, it feels like things are going right, and then out of nowhere, it just all comes crumbling down. There goes your account, there goes your payout, there goes everything that you just spent the last few months working for, the last few weeks working for, and then you wonder why you're stuck in that cycle. Why is that happening? Up and down, right? I'm winning, I'm losing, I'm winning, I'm losing. We're so up, we're so down. We're so back, it's so over, right? It's a cycle. And that's where most of you guys stay stuck in for a long time. You guys will stay stuck there for weeks, months, years, right? I've seen it. Guys, I've seen people trading for like 10 years and still stuck with the same problems, right? Why? Because they think that it's magically going to fix itself. All right, this month is the month I'm finally going to be emotionless. And I'm never going to have any emotion. I'm never going to have any problems. And then what happens? Oh, it's going to have a problem, right? You guys show up to the emotional factory and then say, nah, today we're not producing emotions, bro. We're producing emotionless. Okay, yeah, for like a day or two, right? You'll be locked in for a day or two, disciplined for a day or two, a week or two, a month or two. And then again, it all comes crashing down. There goes your account. There goes your payout. There goes your future, right? Your car that you were building on the car dealership, right? Don't be lying. Don't be lying to me, guys. You guys all do the same thing, right? You get that payout, you get that banger trade. Well, first thing we start doing, all right, how many trades do I need to buy this car? All right, well, I could buy 2 grand. Okay, so I need to get 2 trades. Okay, if I get one winning trade here, I could take like 2 losses as long as I get 5 win. You guys do the same thing, right? Or is that just me? Am I the only one that's done that, right? You get the win, you start saying, all right, how much does it cost to get a plane ticket to here in the hotel? All right, well, the hotel's only this much, so if I just get 2 more winning trades, then I can get the payout, and then I can buy this hotel. Oh yeah, bro, we're gonna go on a banger vacation, or I'm gonna buy this house, or I'm gonna buy this car, or I'm gonna buy these shoes or this shirt or whatever it is. I'm gonna pay this bill. Sometimes it's not even selfish, right? Sometimes it's just like, oh, I can pay this bill, right? Am I the only one that ever did that, or do you guys do that too? Maybe you don't search it up. You don't even have to search it up, but in your mind, you've already gone that way. You've already said, okay, this is what's going to lead to this, and this leads to that, right? This trade will lead to a payout, and that payout leads to more accounts, and that more accounts lead to more payouts, and more payouts lead to financial freedom, right? Finally, I can quit my job. Finally, I can buy this house. Finally, I can get myself, you know, this car or this watch or this shoes or this shirt or whatever it is that you want, bro. Chrome hearts, I don't know what you guys want nowadays, right? Or maybe you want just maybe you don't even want success in material form. Sometimes it's as simple as I just want to feel like I'm doing something with my life. Sometimes I just want to feel like I did something right. Prove these people wrong, right? They all call me dumb, right? Maybe that's you too. But when you walk with that, when you start saying trading equals freedom, trading equals status, trading equals vacations, trading equals car, trading equals house, right? Whatever it is that you're chasing, then when you come into the markets and you finally take that loss and you finally hit that losing streak, when the winning streak breaks, right? When the illusion breaks and reality sets in, now it's not just I took a loss. Now it's, well, there goes the house, right? Because if trading equals the house and trading's not there anymore, right? They're equivalent, which means they're both gone. Now it's not just trading that's gone. There goes the house that you wanted. There goes the life you wanted. There goes the future that you had planned for yourself. The car that you wanted to drive, right? You wanted to post up on Instagram and finally post that you're on that vacation, right? Or finally prove everyone wrong. And then you guys kind of wonder why it is that you struggle with losses to accept them. That's why you guys struggle with overtrading, overconfidence, underconfidence, whatever it is. It all ties back into the same thing. Am I right? I know this is off topic, but what is some advice for pushing through the paper trading phase without being demotivated? Why would you guys ever push to the paper trading phase? It's because the paper trading phase doesn't give you results, right? You can be as successful as you want in the paper trading phase. There's no money, right? And so when our focus is only money and not really improvement, not really actually, forming the skills that we need, we're only chasing money, right? Not saying that you're like greedy or anything, but this is just how we are as humans. Then of course you're not going to be motivated, right? Who shows up to work for free? Nobody, right? You guys clock in and you're like, nah, I'm not going to clock in. I'm just going to work for free today. No, of course not. But if you stop saying it as like, okay, this is just a process to get to the actual fun part, which is making money. If you can start changing your mindset to view it as, Yes, there's not going to be any outcomes. There's not going to be any results from doing this, right? You can have a right. No one looks at a paper trading that's up 100%. You're like, oh yeah, bro, this guy doubled his money. Yeah, on paper. No one's gonna brag about that. No one cares about that. But if you can view that as, hey, this is a legitimate learning opportunity to learn for free, to learn without risking real money, the skill of trading. Yes, there's no money here. Yes, there's no glory. Yes, there's no results. But I still believe in the process. I still believe that doing the right things will lead to the right results. And if I practice, then I can have confidence. Oh, excuse me. Then I can have confidence in my strategy. I can have confidence in my right trading. And when you're ready, it'll happen naturally, right? You guys understand? That's why a lot of you guys are stuck there, right? I know a lot of people who never even started paper trading, right? They didn't even try because they're like, well, there's no glory, there's no money. Right. And then because of that, you came into the market with all these expectations without real results yet. You didn't have any progress. You didn't have any skill, right? Didn't have any practice. And then now you're not only struggling with learning your strategy on the fly, right? It's like building a plane while flying in it, right? Build the plane, then fly, then you can figure out what's wrong, right? But if you're building the plane while you're flying, now you don't know what's wrong. Okay, well, I got to fix the wing. All right, so is the plane crashing because the wing's broken or is it because I actually did something wrong? Right? You don't know because you're building it while flying it. You guys understand? That's why I always recommend you guys journal, you guys paper trade, you guys practice. So then it gets that much easier to actually figure out what's wrong with you, what's actually holding you back, instead of being like, well, it could be my strategy. A lot of you guys have this problem. Well, I'm losing a lot of money, but I don't know if it's my strategy or the fact that I had a really bad day and blew $2,000 in a day. Yeah, bro, I don't know what the problem is either because you have two variables that you got to consider. Is it your emotions or is it your strategy? You'll never know because you never even figured it out. You know what I'm saying? You never even tried. If it's your strategy, then it would reflect in paper trading, right? Because paper trading has no emotion. There's pretty much no emotions behind a paper trading account, right? You guys understand? Sheesh. What other questions you guys got for me today? Right? I'm gonna be busy this weekend, so this is the last stream you'll get until Tuesday. Yeah, till Tuesday. So definitely ask your guys' questions, man. Here to answer them all for free. How long have you been trading and what has been the hardest phase you've been through? The hardest phase that any trader is going to go through is the break even stage, right? What is the break even stage? It's when you're finally winning, you're finally seeing that progress, you're finally getting results. You got that payout, you passed that account, right? It seems like it's right there. And then the old problems still surface back. And a lot of you guys go through this. A lot of you are stuck in that stage. You finally got something to look at. You finally got that payout. You finally passed that account. You finally started following your actual rules instead of just, guessing. But then all the old issues come back. Your greed, your anxiety, your hesitation, your overconfidence, right? Your overtrading, your undertrading, your FOMO trading, your revenge trading. It all comes back. There goes the payout. There goes the account. There goes all the progress you just made. That is going to be the hardest phase to break out of. Why? Because in that time, and a lot of you guys do this right now. If this was you today or this week or last week, just listen up. You're going to be there and you're going to start wondering what the issue is. You're going to start saying, is it me? Is it my strategy? Is it because, this guy got exposed and this guy got exposed, but that doesn't make sense, right? Maybe it's the concepts, but the concepts worked for me last week, so how does that work out? Oh, maybe it's me personally. Well, if it was me personally, again, okay, what changed between this week and last week, right? You guys start kind of questioning everything, right? And that's why it's so important, right? I always talk about reflection. I always talk about, you know, thinking about your actions instead of just acting on them, right? A lot of you guys, you'll get one thought. Okay, you should enter another trade. All right. And then you go click. All right, I entered my second trade. You didn't even reflect. You didn't even think about it. That stage is going to be the hardest stage you guys go through, right? Once you kind of break out of that, right? Once you kind of recognize that, yeah, this looks really, really good, but let me actually weigh my actions against my plan, right? So instead of getting a thought to enter a trade, instead of just being like, all right, I'm going to enter my trade right now, instead of immediately hopping on that emotion, the skill you guys all need to learn is to take that same exact action, right? So let's say that you only take one trade a day, right? You're only supposed to trade once, maybe twice a day. and you get the temptation or the thought or the desire to enter a third or fourth trade for that day. Instead of just accepting that, instead of just clicking click, buy, all right, we're in again. Hopefully this one works out. Even though deep down I know this is not right, this is not what I should be doing, but I can't help myself pretty much. Instead of that problem, instead of doing it that way, the way that I teach that you guys can help out, right? The ways that I teach is you take that same thought and you put it against a mirror, right? You put it against something to compare it to. Yeah, I really want to enter. I really want to take that second trade. But I could recognize that I am flawed. I'm a human, right? We make mistakes, right? So instead of just accepting every single thing, which may or may not be a mistake, which may or not be right, let me weigh it against something, right? Let me put it on the scale and look. All right, what do you guys measure it against, right? Yourself, right? Because you change every day, right? You're happy one minute, sad the next. We're not going to trust someone that doesn't know that's not stable. Let's put it in something that is stable. What's stable in your guys' life? When you write down your plan, does that plan magically change week by week, day by day? No, it's the exact same plan. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. That same plan is going to be the same words. So weigh your actions against a plan rather than against yourself, right? There's a term called metacognition. It means thinking about thinking, right? A lot of us are impulsive. We get that first temptation to enter again. We start seeing something that looks good and we immediately enter, right? Am I wrong? Or most of you guys do this, right? Maybe you wait, right? Most of you guys will wait, right? You'll be fine. You're not like a complete animal. But slowly but surely, you kind of catch yourself. Oh man, I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that? It's almost like you did it before you could even think about it, right? You guys ever have that happen to you? Where you like almost enter the trade before you even actually thought about it? You didn't even really give the chart a good look, right? You kind of hopped on and you looked for like a minute or two, 3 minutes, right? You clicked enter and you're like, wait, what happened? Oh shoot, I'm already in. I didn't expect to get filled in this quickly. All right, well now let me look at the chart. Now you start looking at it deeply, right? Does that happen to most of you guys? Yeah, it happens. It does. I'm too broke to risk money, so I'm not overconfident, but so many people are. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge problem, you know? And overconfident or not, everybody's got something. Everyone has their vice, right? Some people are underconfident. They don't take enough trades. They have a setup and they kind of goes by them. Some people, it's the opposite, right? They take too many setups, right? So that's why today I'm talking about overconfidence, but honestly, if you guys can really listen to what I'm saying, what I'm talking about, the way that I'm talking about shifting your mindset applies to everything. Every vice that you have, every problem that you have. If you're underconfident, if you're overconfident, if you're revenge trading, if you're FOMO trading, if you're, you know what I'm saying? All these problems actually, is my hot take, kind of stem from the same issue. What? Okay, that makes no sense, bro. All right. That's kind of stupid. How is this guy going to say overconfidence and underconfidence is the same problem? That makes no sense. How is it that someone that has too much of something and not enough of something are actually the same person? Right? I'm going to tell you right now. So the overconfident guy will look at his plan and say, yes, this is a great plan, but I'm so confident and I'm looking at myself. I just took 10 banger trades back to back to back, right? So I'm going to look at myself because I believe in myself so much that I don't need my plan anymore. Because look at me, bro. I just took 10 great trades, right? No one could tell me anything. That's why I entered even though it didn't follow my plan, right? That's the overconfident person. Well, okay, how does that connect to underconfident, right? Underconfident, very similar. They look at their plan and they say, yes, this is a great plan. This plan looks awesome. This model looks awesome. But I'm kind of scared because I took a lot of losing trades and also the market's moving a lot and I hate losing and I hate seeing losses. I hate seeing red. So I'm going to choose to follow myself and say no trades instead of following my rules, which say to trade. Both people are not looking at their plan. They're looking inwardly at their results, right? The overconfident person looks inside and sees green, 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 green. That's why he chooses to enter when he shouldn't. The underconfident guy still does the same thing. He looks inward and he says, red, 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 red. Okay, I'm still not going to enter. Even though I should enter, I'm not going to enter. Both people are actually the same exact problem, which is they look inward instead of looking at the plan. And as a result, they choose actions based on past results. The underconfident person looks at the past and sees red and says, I choose to not trade, even though I should because that's my plan. The overconfident person looks at the past and sees green and sees winning trades and says, I choose to follow myself and not my plan because I have so many results. You guys understand? Sheesh. Sheesh. Oh my goodness. No one ever explains it that way though, right? Everyone always says underconfidence, you need to practice more. You need to just believe in your model more. Overconfidence, you just need an ego check, bro. You need to be humbled. No, 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 no. It's not just an ego or a confidence thing, right? Obviously that's part of it. But the main issue was not that you were looking at, you're walking around with your shoulder, right? Because you're confident in trading, right? You're not talking smack, right? You're just taking bad setups, right? It's not like you're that egotistical. You're not looking in the mirror and being like, yeah, I'm the best, right? But what are you doing? Both people have the same issue. They choose to look inward only at results. They only look at the results or the outcome of whatever it is they're doing, right? So they look at the results and see red or they see green, and they choose to act based off of those results rather than choosing to act off something that is stable, something that is consistent, something that doesn't change day by day, right? Our emotions, our feelings, our results change every minute. 1 minute your setup looks like awesome, the next minute your setup looks terrible, right? 1 minute this was the best trade you could have taken all year, the next minute this was a horrible idea, right? So instead of looking at ourselves and looking on things that change constantly, why don't we choose, instead of looking inward in that way, let's still look inward and say, yes, I like that idea, but let me measure it against something and weigh it against something that's stable and that doesn't change and that I could actually put a bit of, trust and faith in rather than myself, which is what? Your rules. If you write down a setup, if you write down a checklist for how to enter the market, if you say, I want to see X, Y, and Z, the next week, it's not going to change. It's going to be the same rules, same checklist, same setup, right? You guys understand? That person who does that is going to be operating on a foundation of stability. Whether they're happy or whether they're sad, it doesn't matter to them because they're always working and operating from a system that is stable and that is actually consistent, right? It's not something that changes. You guys understand? That person is going to be way more successful because they're going to be able to make decisions regardless of what's happening. Or if they're on a losing streak, doesn't matter. They can make the decision. If they're on a winning streak, doesn't matter. They can still make the right decision, right? And the emotions will come, guys. You'll still feel upset. You'll still feel angry, right? It's not like you become emotionless. But regardless of your emotion, you'll still be able to make the decision that needs to be made, right? Instead of trying to pretend that it's not there, right? A lot of you guys do that. You'll take a loss and you'll try to be like, oh, that really sucked. But also, I'm supposed to remain emotionless. But also, I have this pent up anger and this rage and this frustration. But we're supposed to be emotionless. So, okay, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. You're not fine. Internally, you're angry. But you try to pretend that you're fine, right? And then again, you bottle up your emotions, right? Ask any therapist, ask any psychologist, ask anybody that studies human behavior. They're gonna tell you, yeah, bro, bottling your emotions is the number one fastest way to get you to blow up. It's like shaking a Coke bottle and putting a Mentos in it. It's gonna blow, bro. It's gonna go crazy. And when that crazy day comes for you guys wonder why your accounts are blown, why your everything is just gone. You spent 6 months, right, working towards something, and it just didn't go anywhere. Best advice for someone who overtrades, revenge trades, and blown 4 fundeds. I just want to pay out. That last sentence is your issue. That's the advice I'm going to give you, Gabe. Is that when you're only focusing on the payout, bro, right? Be honest, Gabe. When you get close to it, right? You get that funded account. You start thinking, all right, it's not that far. Just a few more days. I'm almost there, right? And then you take a losing day, and then you're kind of like, oh, damn. Now I don't know, bro. Now I'm a full day away. Now I have to take another winning trade. Now I have to make up this deficit. And that's why you re-enter. Because why? The focus is literally in your text is I want to pay out. I just want to pay out. It's not I want to make the right decisions. It's not I actually want to reflect on why I take over trading, revenge trading, right? Instead of looking towards progress, we kind of look towards the money, right? And it's not just like don't focus on money. Obviously, money is a factor, right? Obviously, we shouldn't focus on money, but instead of saying, like, the better way to say that for me is don't prioritize money above the process, right? Money is a great tool, guys. We need it, right? We're not here trading for free. We're not here trading for charity, right? But we can still have that desire for money. We can still want to make money, get that payout, be successful. But when you prioritize money above following your rules, when you prioritize money above the discipline and above the patience and above your actual plan, then that's when you guys struggle, right? When you put money, number one, guys, if I gave you guys 3 free cars and I told you guys you could have a Lamborghini, a Mercedes, or BMW, but your dream car is a Lamborghini. Do you guys think you're gonna be like, oh yeah, maybe I should get the BMW or the Mercedes? I mean, they're pretty nice cars. Or do you go, hell no, I want the Lambo. That's all I want, bro. You throw the other cars away, even though they're nice cars, even though they're nice, right? Mercedes, BMW, those are nice cars, but you'll throw them away for the number one thing that you really want, which is a Lambo. And it's the same thing with trading. If you have three items, you have following your rules and discipline, and you have making money. If all you care about is money, it's the same thing. You'll be like, oh, hell yeah, screw my rules, bro. Give me that money. Give me that payout. And then that's why you guys blow account after account. You fumble payout after payout, right? That's why you're stuck in that cycle. You guys understand? That's what it is. I see a lot of setups each day. How do I pick one when one appears only after another? Like the best setup? Well, that depends on your strategy. I can't tell you which setup is the best. What I can tell you is, whether or not the setup is the best setup of the day, as long as you did everything right, as long as it was a legitimate setup, don't try to BS yourself and pretend like it's not there, right? Don't try to pretend like, it's a good setup when it's not. Be honest and say, I'm going to choose to take this setup. I don't know if it's the best one for the day. I don't know if the next one's going to be the one I should have taken. But I'm going to do everything in my power to check if I'm right. You're going to analyze the chart. You're going to look at your checklist, look at your plan. Don't look at yourself. Don't look at the chart and think amongst yourself. Look at the chart and then look towards your plan, right? Then when you come back, as long as it aligns with your plan, as long as you didn't try to do something, as long as you didn't FOMO in and revenge trade in, then there's no problem. Whether that trade hits or not and whether it was the best one is not really a problem. As long as you do the right things, guys, the right results will happen eventually, right? If you go to the gym every single day and you work out an hour a day or 30 minutes a day even, and you eat well and you sleep well, do you guys think you're going to have to wake up and be like, oh, I really need the muscles. I don't know if I'm ever going to get muscles. You're going to be like, no, you're doing the right things. You're eating well. You're working out, right? You're improving. But if you come to the gym and you still do the right things, but then you look and you say, well, I don't have a six-pack abs after 6 months of working out. And yeah, I'm eating well and yeah, I'm doing the right things, but it's not working out for me. Like, it's not fast enough. Then you guys are going to start being like, all right, well, I got to switch my routine. Now I got to switch my diet. Now I got to, instead of going from bulking, I'm going to cut, or cutting, I'm going to bulk, or from eating protein, I'm going to eat this new protein or this new powder, or you guys understand? Then your progress isn't there anymore, right? People that are constantly switching their gym routine, constantly switching their diet, constantly switching, right, whatever it is, those people don't see success because they're constantly moving, right? They're not actually staying still long enough to see the results. It's the same thing with trading, guys. When you're sitting there and you're constantly moving and you're constantly trying to change without actually sitting down to reflect on what you're doing, right? Let the results chase you. Don't chase the results, is what I'm always trying to tell you guys. When you're chasing that payout, when you're chasing that money, that car, that house, whatever it is, you make decisions that are clouded. You start thinking, ah, man, not only did I take this loss, but I really wanted this payout, and this payout was going to buy me all this nice stuff. And now, not only do I not have a payout, I don't have the nice stuff. Then you guys wonder why it's hard to accept that loss. When you take a loss, it's no longer just your trading account, your account balance that's down. It's everything else you put on top of it, right? It's like you built a house on top of the payout or on top of your outcomes, right? So you said winning trades, you start saying, all right, winning trades will lead to my house, will lead to my car, will lead to my vacation. And then when you, like Jenga, you pull it out underneath, everything falls apart. So now it wasn't just your trade that you lost. It wasn't just that you had a bad day. It was there goes your house, there goes your car, there goes your results, there goes everything you were chasing, right? You guys understand? That's why it's so hard for you guys to accept losses. That's why when you sit there and you lose, it's difficult. That's why you guys are like, oh, it's kind of hard for me to. I don't know why, bro. Why is it so hard to accept a loss? Because look at what you put on top of it. Sheesh. Oh my goodness. Listen to that again. Why is it so hard to accept the losses? You need to look on what's on top of that loss. What do you put on top of it? That loss also meant that there goes your house that you wanted, there goes the car that you wanted, there goes the vacation that you wanted, there goes the financial freedom that you wanted. Now you're going to have to clock back into work next week, right? But you're making that loss more than it has to be, right? Because you built everything on top of it. So again, you pulled it out underneath, there goes everything, right? That's why it's so hard for you guys. That's why we struggle every day in and day out to accept a loss. One small loss spirals into 100 different trades. Why? Because of exactly what I just told you, right? But imagine this guy, right? Imagine this. Instead of that way, imagine this. Same person, still takes the same loss, still feels the same emotions. But instead of giving their emotions that weight and that energy and that power over them, instead of saying, yes, I'm upset, I should act on it. Imagine if you could instead say, yes, I'm upset. Yes, I'm frustrated. Yes, I'm irritated. But I could recognize one thing. All you have to do is one thing, is that I'm a human whose emotions change constantly. I'm happy and I'm sad. I'm happy and I'm sad. I'm frustrated. I'm happy. I'm, confident. I'm underconfident. Now I'm too confident. Right? Ooh, voice crack. Right? But even though I still feel all those things, I choose to say those emotions are temporary, those emotions are fleeting. Let me look towards something that I can rely on, which is your plan, which is your model, which is your discipline, right? If you write down a plan, 1 week later, it's still going to be the same plan, as opposed to your emotions, which constantly change, right? Your feelings that are constantly lying to you. 1 minute, this is a great idea, the next minute, it's a terrible idea. So instead of giving those emotions power over you, it's better to accept them. Yes, I'm feeling this way. Yes, this is a part of me, but I choose to not give this power over me. I choose to reflect on my plan. I choose to actually look towards something that is stable, right? Something that I know is going to work out long term, rather than trying to, you're like chasing your own tail. You guys understand? That's all it takes, right? That's all it takes for you guys to break out of every single problem you have. If you have overconfidence, underconfidence, revenge trading, over trading, FOMO trading, whatever bad issue you got, whatever problem you got, right? It all can be solved with just that thing that I said, right? That's all it takes. Where can I rewatch this live? I post them on YouTube, bro. Subscribe to the YouTube or join the Discord. You'll see them there. Sheesh. Right? Sit with that for a little bit. Honestly, a lot of us we're kind of like, like actually like sit about it, kind of think about that. I'll answer you guys' questions. If you guys have any of you guys have questions about what I just said, I'll answer them now. As a beginner, would mastering FEG's liquidity better than candle formation? Depends on the person, right? I've seen some people not be very successful with what you just said. This is what traders need to hear, not hype. Yeah, exactly. Like honestly, guys, strategy, don't get me wrong, strategy is absolutely important, right? If you have a bad strategy, you're gonna have a hard time. Like right off the bat. I'm not telling you it's not important. But you could have the best strategy in the world, right? You could have an amazing strategy, but if you genuinely still stuck with losing streaks, right? If I give you guys a strategy that only has a 10% win rate, but as long as you follow the rules, you'll still be profitable. A lot of you guys are going to have a hard time accepting that because of the internal problems that I just talked about, right? I could still give it to you, right? Let's say like I could give it to you. But if those problems remain unsolved in your brain, you're still going to struggle. Even if I told you you're going to be profitable, even if I told you it'll magically change overnight, you'll still have that issue. You guys can be given free accounts, you guys can be given everything, all the tools to succeed. But if you never fix that issue, like I'm sorry to say it's not going to work out, right? Or it's going to be very difficult. I've seen people who still make money, right? They actually are profitable, but they're not happy, right? they're not they're not happy about it, bro. They're winning, yeah, sure, but every win is like paid with blood, right? Every win is a battle. It's not just, peaceful. You have to fight for it, right? I want to be the person that can move forward and still be, you'll still be upset. You still get those emotions, but you're able to process them, regulate them, overcome them, and actually think and actually move forward, right? And actually make real progress without just trying to be like, oh, I'll just try really hard today and I hope it does. I hope it works out. Oh, I'm trying really hard, and there goes my account. All right, well, screw this. I'm gonna blow another one, right? That's what a lot of you guys do. Not to like, and this isn't to talk down on you guys. This isn't because like me too, guys. Me too. I have all those same problems too, right? It's not like I'm better than you, right? The only thing that I can do differently is my actions, my reactions, right? Uh, what's that thing? Just joined. Was 1 day away from a funded and scaled my account. Wanted 2K and blew my account. I was just saying that the only difference between someone that regulates their emotions and lets their emotions ruin themselves, right, is they take their emotion and they put it against something else. They measure it, right? They weigh it. They put it on a scale and they say, yes, I feel this way. Yes, this is something I really believe in, but let me measure it against something like a filter, right? You get a lot of thoughts during the day, right? You guys are trading a lot. You get a lot of different ideas, right? Should I enter this trade or this trade or this trade or this trade, right? We need some sort of filter. How do you filter out the bad thoughts that break your rules, that make your day worse, right? That ruin your day, that ruin your payout, and how do you filter them from the good thoughts, right? The you know, right? Because obviously not every thought is bad, right? I mean, it's not like every trade you take is a losing trade. All you guys really need is a filter, right? To differentiate what's a good idea and what's a bad idea. Not just yourself. You are not a filter because you just agree with whatever makes sense in that moment, right? If it looks good in that moment, you'll be like, "Yep, good enough for me." Even if it's a terrible idea, right? Because humans we're limited, right? We can't see outside of ourselves, right? We can't really we're not really able to see the future. We're not really able to predict that well. So we need a filter that is external but stable, but consistent. That's not just emotions, right? That's not just hype. So what is that filter then? Your model, your discipline, your rule set, your checklist, right? So you need to take your emotions, your thoughts, your desires and measure it against your plan. Sitting there and saying, "Yes, I want to overtrade because I know I'm upset, but let me reflect on my plan and also let me reflect on the last time that I did this," right? So let's say you want to overtrade. Yeah, I really want to take that second trade. I feel very strongly about it. Like every cell in my body is telling me to re-enter, but I know that I can be wrong, and I know that last time I did this, it wasn't a great idea. So let me reflect on that. Yeah, that's right, bro. Last time I did that last week, I totally blew my account, right? Yeah, it looks like a good idea, but when was the last time I had a quote unquote good idea? Oh, that's right. I took that long and I completely blew my account. Even though I feel this way, it's probably best for me to look at my plan. All right, what does my plan say? Ah, yeah, I probably shouldn't take this trade. If I lose this trade, I'm gonna be upset that I broke my rules as well, and then I'm gonna get more upset. It's gonna spiral down. So let me just not do this, or let me walk away. Then naturally, your problems will fade away. Naturally, you don't even feel that desire as hard anymore, right? Right now, it seems impossible because you guys are very stuck in that state, right? You're still stuck in that place. But naturally, as time goes on, as you keep reflecting, as you keep moving forward, as you keep practicing what I just told you guys, right? It's not an overnight thing, but your eyes will be opened overnight, and then naturally, and then now you can start making better decisions, right? I'm not promising that you guys next week are going to get a crazy payout. All I can tell you is that if you follow what I just said, if you actually apply what I just said, then naturally you will likely make better decisions. You'll feel more peaceful, right? You won't feel like you have to fight every day. You won't feel like you have to come into the market every day trying to, knock out the market, right? You're not boxing. You come into the market, you do what needs to be done. You still feel your emotions, but you're able to process, regulate, and overcome them, right? And form better habits, new habits that naturally will lead to the results that you guys are chasing, right? Will naturally lead to the payout that you want, the account that you want, right? Whatever it is that you want. That's all it is, guys. And if you missed the stream, if you just missed what I just said, don't worry. I'm uploading it. Or if you heard what I said, but you want to, you're worried that you might forget, don't worry. I re upload these. I stream every single day. I have a free Discord, a free Instagram, free YouTube. I don't sell anything. I don't promote anything. I don't have any sort of, mentorship that you can pay $100 a month or something stupid for, right? It's all free. And I'm building a real community, right? Of people that are actually trying to improve. You can join it. So the Discord is absolutely free. There's no paid version. And it's legitimately a community of people actually trying to build themselves and actually trying to make, you know, trading work out. You can join. You can literally scroll up and see. That's all we talk about. There's no, buy my mentorship for 50. There's none of that, right? It's genuinely people that are interested in growing, people that actually want to change themselves, right? That don't want to just ego check each other or just, right? And I also have free resources, and I also have, right, calls. I do calls, group calls with you guys. I make YouTube videos. I do live streams like this one every single day, right? I have TikToks, Instagrams, YouTubes, right? Sound like an old person. So if you guys are interested, all you have to do is join the Discord, link in the bio, subscribe to the YouTube, link in bio, follow the Instagram, link in bio, follow this TikTok, just click the follow, right? That's it. right? And I can promise you one thing, which is that if you stick around and if you actually learn, right, things will change, right? Things will get better. Things will get easier. They won't feel that way, but I promise they will, right? I was the same way. When I started thinking this way and I started moving this way and I started making changes in my journey, in the moment it didn't feel very different. In the moment it felt kind of stupid, right? Like thinking about thinking, right? It's kind of stupid, right? I felt kind of dumb when I did that. But now I look back and I'm like, bro, I'm so happy. I look back at all the times, guys. Guys, I remember the crash out days, right? It was not that long ago. I've been trading for a few years already, but it wasn't that long ago, bro. I still remember, like I'll tell you this story. I still remember when I was in school, right? So I was in school and I just took a trade high school. So I just took this trade in like the morning, right? My first class, and then I got out early that day. So I got out of school. It was still like 1 p.m. my time. It was pretty early. I checked my phone and I just see a fat red day, negative 250. And I just thought, damn, this trading stuff is never going to work out. And I actually told myself, I said, I'm never going to trade ever again. I promised myself. I'm like, I at that point, I didn't have a payout. I never passed an account. I never did anything, right? This was the closest I was to passing an account. And I just blew it right there. And I was like, bro, I'm never going to trade again. This is stupid. Obviously, I wasn't that calm, right? Now I sound calm. I was yelling, all right? I was like genuinely yelling in my car. I was like, all right, whatever, bro, screw this. But naturally, all those losses, all that time and all that energy I spent yelling and being frustrated, once I was able to transform it and actually make meaningful change, right? Actually do some self reflection, actually think about thinking, right? Instead of just accepting every action in my head, if I get a thought, I'll just act on it instead of being impulsive like that. Once I learned to sit down and I literally went home that day and I was like sitting there thinking, like, I was like, bro, like, honestly, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, whatever I'm doing is just not working, right? It's kind of stupid. I've done all this work, I did all this studying. It's literally for nothing. So I'm gonna give it one last shot, but I'm gonna go differently. Instead of the way that I've been doing it, I'm gonna try something else. And at that time, I had some mentors and I had some right people I was talking to that kind of taught me what I'm teaching you guys, right? Metacognition and all this thinking and all this reflection and emotional regulation. And naturally, as I went that way and as I followed those guys, my results started showing up. I started passing my accounts. I finally got my first few payouts, right? Now I look back and I'm like, bro, I'm so glad that I went through that. That was like the best decision of my life, right? Still is. I mean, granted, I'm only 20, so how many decisions have I made? But you guys get the point, right? Now, I'm going to open up the stream to questions. If you guys have any questions, you guys have any topics you want to talk about, right? If you missed the stream, don't worry, I record them. You'll be able to rewatch them. But if you want to ask your question right now, just ask it. I'll answer them, right? We'll start kind of transitioning to Q&A, right? Pure Q&A. No more lectures. No more ranting, right? You guys got story time and a rant and a lecture. So, now just Q&A. You have the perfect voice. You could do audiobooks. Nah, bro. I voice crack and I do not have the voice acting type of voice. But this guy SB, bro, you only come in here to hate, man. You gotta show some love. Please join us in the Discord. We want to hash this out. We're all yeah. If you're in the Discord, I'm gonna be on there right now when I hop off. I'm literally gonna join up and talk to you guys in there after the stream. What's good, bro? Break even twice today. I'm sorry to hear that. It's all right though, bro. Break even's always better than a losing day. This was nice. Just listen right now. Hey, good stuff. Glad you guys are able to hear me out. Thinking about your thinking. Exactly. That's all it is, guys. It's just reflection, right? And it's not just like a lot of people will teach you reflection the wrong way, right? A lot of people will teach you reflection like just sit there and just think. Okay, think about what? Right? And a lot of you guys also have a problem with overthinking versus deep thinking, which if you guys haven't already, I have a video on that. Or actually, no, I don't. Never mind, bro. I'm tripping. I have a video on the other very similar topic, but I'll make a video on that. Overthinking versus deep thinking. I have a lot of, a way to actually, like, how do you actually transform your mind from thinking like, oh, is this going to happen? Is this going to, a lot of you guys, you'll be overthinking, and overthinking is this. One thought turns into 100 problems. Deep thinking is one thought leads to one solution. That's it. If your thoughts, if you're sitting there and you're thinking and all you come back with is more problems and more issues and more anxiety, that's overthinking, right? If you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I blew my account. Oh, not only did I blow my account, but I'm not going to get this payout. Not am I going to get this payout, that means I'm going to have to pay this bill or I'm going to miss out on this thing. And missing out on this thing means I have to do this thing, right? That's overthinking. Deep thinking is taking one thought, right, and taking it all the way to the end, which means what? I want to take this trade. But instead of just accepting that, let me do some reflection. Huh. The last time that I broke my rules, what happened? Oh, that's right. I blew my account. Oh, that's right. I messed up and I got upset at myself and then I blew my account. Or I had a really bad day the rest of that day and then I blew my account the next day, right? Or that started me on a pattern that blew my account next week, right? Then naturally, it'll get easier to avoid those same habits, right? How old are you? 20. Just turned 20 not too long ago. Nah, bro, you have all the supporters someone has to hate. Hey, better a loyal hater than a fake supporter. That's true. SB's been here for a while too, so he knows. How many trades you take a day? One. One trade a day. I'm new to trading and just lost two of my accounts that I started out. Biggest lesson, I have a lot of overthinking. Yeah, I'm telling you, bro, stick around. Right? Join the Discord. Subscribe to the YouTube, right? Everything's free. You don't have to pay me. And literally, we just talk about those types of things all day, every day. I stream every single day. I upload pretty much every single day, right? Sometimes I'll miss a day, right? So, follow along. Join the Discord. I'm in the Discord every day for sure. I never miss a day on the Discord, right? And I never miss a DM either. So if you guys want to DM me your questions, right, I never miss a DM. So definitely feel free to send one if you guys want to. For real, it should, DJ. All about risk management, exactly. Like, guys, at the end of the day, it's not like a lot of people are like making trading complicated, right? I know I sound like I make it complicated, but really my way of teaching is very simple. I make it more complicated to give you guys like baby steps, right? But at the end of the day, trading is very simple. It is very simple, right? You don't have to make it too complicated for yourself. I just teach it in a way that's complicated so that way you guys don't have like super a lot of questions. I don't want to teach it too simply and then you guys have too many questions, right? But genuinely, trading is simple, guys. It really is. How long have I been trading? Whew, like what, 4 years now? About, right? Futures trading. Like, guys, when I started trading, half of these firms, half of these people weren't even like around. I think TJR was making videos, but like I don't even think it was big yet. Like Lucid wasn't a thing. My Funded Futures wasn't a thing, right? It wasn't really like, it was kind of crazy. It's all love, brother. Yeah, I know, SB. I know. I know you're not actually like hating. Like I said, better a loyal hate. Oh my God, I can't speak today. All right, that's my sign of Loki. Every time I start stuttering like crazy, it's my time to wrap it up. I've been speaking for too long. Right. What's the most I ever pulled out? Probably a couple thousand, right? Like five maybe max. Not a lot. I don't have a lot of big numbers though, guys. Like if you're coming here to be like 10K, 20K payouts, you got the wrong guy. I don't pretend like I make a lot of money, right? But the one thing that I think is special about me, I guess you could say, is that regardless of if I'm making hella money or not making hella money, like I think I'm pretty consistent, right? I show up, my emotions don't really ruin my day, right? My right, I don't spiral anymore, right? A lot of YouTubers, not to say like they're not good, but a lot of people will hide their bad days. A lot of people will pretend that they're never make a mistake. I'm very honest. I make a lot of mistakes, right? I mess up a lot. But, you know, that's what's special about me, I would say. How long did it take you to become profitable? Like a couple years, bro. I'm a very slow learner. How did you create a system for yourself? Well, creating a system was really easy once I figured out what needed to change, right? So for me, my system was pretty much like I came to the market and I said, what ruins my day? What ruins my trading? What makes me upset? So I have a lot of weird rules, right? So one of my rules is actually I can't open my trading chart inside my gym, right? That's one thing. Like when I'm working out, when I'm at the gym, I can't open my chart. But did I just come up with that for no reason? No, I just genuinely did some reflection and I recognize, hey, every time I open my phone outside of my room or outside of where I'm supposed to trade, I genuinely just crash out. So that's why I stopped doing that. For you guys, it might be a little bit different. If you guys are like, hey, I can't sit still for more than an hour. Okay. Instead of trying to sit for 2 hours, why don't you say, okay, I'll sit for 30 minutes at a time, and then I'll take a break and I'll, look off the charts and go do something else and come back every 30 minutes, right? That's the type of way you guys need to operate. Is recognize your weakness and utilize it, right? Make plans out of that instead of trying to pretend they're not there, right? Or try to magically fix them when you're probably not going to be able to be honest. I don't know how to stop breaking my rules. Once I fix that, I'll be set. Bro, you're in the right place, Poems, because that's literally all we talk about. That's all I talk about is breaking rules, how to stop, how to make good habits, right? All that type of stuff. Genuinely, that's all I talk about. I talk about strategy maybe like 5% of the time. Like every once in a while, someone asks a question, I'll answer it, right? Or I have some videos on it, right? But genuinely, 95% of the time, I just talk about building good habits and recognizing weaknesses, right? And how to stop making mistakes, right? Or making big mistakes. This guy SB, first thing he does when he's profitable is gonna make a course. That's so funny. Bro, you don't even gotta be profitable, bro. You can just do that right now. Just LARP. Like most of these people nowadays. Thank you. I created a separate account documenting my transformation. Good stuff, bro. Awesome. Great to keep yourself accountable. Great. That's awesome. Yup, exactly. Identification, man. First step. First step to making any progress is always identification, right? Find out your problems and you're halfway to solving them, right? Once you can write down your problem, you're genuinely like halfway to solving it. I know it doesn't feel that way, but this guy, you're right. I'm gonna start promoting. That's funny. Yeah, for real, bro. You can just LARP. All right, everybody. I've been streaming for over an hour, so if no one has any more questions, I'll answer the last few that I get. And if not, I will not be live tomorrow. I know I say I'm live every day, but if this is your first live, you low key picked a bad one because I won't be live tomorrow or Sunday like I usually am, or I will be live on I think Monday or Tuesday, right? That'll be my I'll be back on those days. But I'll answer all your questions. And I won't be live, but I will be on the Discord and I will be answering DMs. So don't feel like I'm just disappearing. I'll be back, right? So I'm going to answer every single question that was just asked. I saw like 5 pop up, and then I'll leave. All right? Appreciate it. While I'm answering questions, don't forget to follow. Don't forget to share, like, go check out my other videos. I have a lot of banger videos, guys, like genuine, like sauce, genuine knowledge. Go check them out on YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram, right? You're on TikTok now, so you can just click my profile. And don't forget to join the Discord, all right? It's free. Don't, I say Discord, it's not a paid Discord, it's free. All right. Would you be open to give opinion? Yeah, just send a DM, Cecil, if you want. Is it bad exiting early when you see a pullback and then enter again? Yeah, it can be. Not always, but most of the time, yes, it's a bad idea to if you're exiting then re-entering then exiting then re-entering, typically a very bad idea. You're opening yourself up to more risk for the same trade. Can you share a simplified 3 rules? 3 rules for entry. Yeah. Have we seen the first thing is like actual market, right? So if we're moving in a certain direction, right? If we're moving up, right away, obviously, I'm looking for longs or I'm expecting longs. Right now, I'm not really looking for shorts too crazily, right? Obviously. Step number 2, am I in the right headspace for this, right? So I'll look at myself and I'll say, you know what, today I'm kind of tilted. I was upset that, maybe I maybe got an F on my homework or something, right? Then I'll kind of be like, all right, maybe I should avoid the day today because I know I'm already vulnerable to that type of emotion. And then step number 3, once I'm entering the trade, once I'm in the trade, I have to manage it correctly. I can't just like enter it and forget it, or I can't just like move my stop loss every 5 seconds. I have to actually manage it accordingly. And yeah, that's my first 3 rules. I appreciate the wisdom, bro. Yeah, bro. Appreciate you, DJ. You were in here all stream pretty much, bro. Awesome. Manipulation. What about manipulation, Jason? Yo, bro, I'm back. Just wanted to ask what's a good strategy. You're gonna have to DM me about that, bro. Yeah, it's a long answer, so I don't want to just like spend the next 10 minutes rant like talking about it. Just DM me, Dewani. I'll answer it then. I'll answer it in DMs or ask it in the Discord. I'll answer it in the Discord. All right, everybody. I'll give Jason one last question if he has it to elaborate. If not, I'll head out. If you guys mess with the free sauce, if you guys mess with the actual meaningful content that's not just boring like, nonsense, then follow along for the journey, right? I'm just started making content, right? We're already blowing up. You guys are all early, like genuinely. I only have like 5,000 followers. It's not gonna be. I'm not always gonna be able to answer all your questions, right? Right now, I can't answer all your questions in the Discord and in the TikTok, but eventually, it won't be that way. So make sure to take advantage, guys. Honestly, stick to the Discord, right? Be an OG. I have my bias right, but I get manipulated out of my trade. Oh, well, it could be two things. It could just be that you're entering too early, but sometimes it's like your legitimate setup, right? It's like your actual setup, but you just got manipulated. In that case, you might want to adjust. For me personally, I'll usually wait for it depends on the trade, but usually reversal trades, right? Not always continuation, but reversal trades. I'll look for it to take a low and then take another smaller low, and that usually stops me from getting manipulated, right? So if I wanted to enter a long, right, at the bottom of the day, right, I'll usually wait for it to like make the low and then make another smaller low right next to it like this and then continue higher, right? Same thing here, right? If I'm trying to go to the bottom, low, and then another smaller low. That's usually the best thing to do. Or if you're just entering too early, you need to stop entering early, right? All right. How long does it take to make a profit or loss? Trade or like, what do you mean? Like to be profitable or like per trade? You notice those patterns? Yeah, those are the two things I would say. Thought you were AA Bands for a second. Who's that? Who's AA Bands? I'll look into him if I sound like him. Maybe he's my twin. Trade. Oh, trades can be anywhere from like I've had my smallest trade like 5 minutes, and then some are like 4 hours. So it just depends, right? They're not very consistent in terms of time. Sometimes they're pretty consistent, right? They're probably an hour average, I would say my trades are. But again, some are really quick, some are really slow. Alrighty, everybody. Take care, everyone. I really do appreciate you guys for sticking around. I appreciate you guys for asking your questions, right? Join the Discord, follow, subscribe to the YouTube, follow the IG. The Discord is absolutely free. I know a lot of you guys hear Discord and you get turned off. You're like, ew, this guy's selling another $50 Discord role. I promise you, it's not that type of community. It's not that. I'm not that type of guy, right? I'm not here to shill, $50 from each of you guys. I'm here to actually build a special community somewhere that doesn't exist anywhere else in the trading space, right? So if you guys want to be a part of that community, if you guys want to actually work on discipline and patience and focus, we will be in the Discord talking about this. I'll re-upload this live in the Discord. You guys will be able to watch it there, right? For the guy who just asked how to stay disciplined, you missed the stream, but you picked the right guy because that's all I talk about, bro. I'll send you a video. Just DM me, bro. You don't even have to follow. Just DM me, and I'll send you a video or a stream that I made, and you can watch that. Alrighty, everybody. Take care. I will be gone this weekend, so no streams, but I'll be in the Discord. I'll have my phone. I just won't be able to stream. I won't be home. So take care. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. SB, DJ, right? All of you guys that were in here for a long time, asking questions, talking to me. Appreciate you guys. Much love, and I'll see you guys all Monday or Tuesday. I'm going to say Tuesday, but it might be Monday. Just probably Tuesday, though. All right? Take care, everyone. I'll see you guys then. I'll upload my videos right now, so keep an eye out for that. Peace. Have a good day, everybody. See you guys later.